All right. Well, what an amazing time it's been lately, huh? For all that's going on in the world, and there is much going on, both seen, manifested, and unmanifested. And so, for each and every one of us, we have to constantly continue to make decisions, and of course, inevitably, all of those are going to be the sum total of the essence of our life, essentially. It's really quite amazing when you come to the point that you understand that life is nothing but decisions. And if you choose, which it is a choice, to make good decisions and thoughtful decisions with intention and alignment with source, then your life goes well. And I wanted to say that I think there's a lot of misconception about what people are looking for. People think that they live in a la la land thinking that they're supposed to have a life where they do nothing. Okay, it's like, and unfortunately, life is the essence of living. And the essence of living is being alive and doing something, not being existent and doing nothing. And so it brings up many paradoxes with things that are done societally, uh, programming that people who can't protect their minds from programming buy very readily. And so uh, it's it is a very sticky wicket that we humans live and walk through, and then you put on top of that the slow, and it is very slow, revelation of the reality of existence. And I'm sure that there are many people probably who think they have life figured out, but the minute that you would say that you have life figured out would be the perfect indicator to someone of thought that in fact you have nothing figured out. That's why Paul said that anyone who thinks that they know anything, the reality of that is that they know nothing. So without quoting Paul intentionally, I still quoted that principle, which is, uh, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you think you know everything, then that's what you are. But Paul was just bringing correction for people who don't. They have thoughts, but let's say they're corrupt. So, anyways, we have been blessed on so many levels to have an opportunity way over those of us that existed. Uh, the Christians that I grew up with, some of you that I know, you had family that was very Pentecostal Christian, and believed in that, and they were very faithful to what they were told reality was, and it almost is very saddening sometimes to think about, because all of my family fits that realm. It's very saddening sometimes to think about the fact that when they stepped out of this existence, everything which they had believed was taken away. And there's pieces that about the rock. What will you stand on? If what you perceive truth to be is what you're standing on, and that truth is a lie, then you have no place to stand. So I guess that's sometimes why it's kind of amazing to me how lazy and lackluster and lack of desire, and it's not to convince someone to go do something, because if somebody convinced you to go do something, you're not doing it anyways. Okay, you're actually just trying to pacify your own mind. The person probably already knew you weren't anyways. uh, and so it really, so many things end up functioning in the realm of paradoxical, that somebody's action is proof of their inaction. Somebody's thoughts are proof of their unthoughtfulness, and so of course all of that stuff is going to mean everything. Uh, the more that revelation comes out, it's really hard if you've been brainwashed into all the belief systems of Christianity to then find out that those things aren't reality, and that you are going to have to actually have knowledge, and ignorance is no longer going to be bliss, which is what you've lived in, is ignorance your whole life. You never knew the truth. And when you get there, you're not going to just supernaturally all of a sudden know the truth. That's not how it works. You either choose to do it here, and I showed you where Yeshua himself was recorded as having said that. You either find salvation here, or you will never find salvation. His words are they line up with everything from the Sumerian to the Akkadian to the Babylonian, where they disrupted because Christianity and Judaism hijacked the truth and only wrote it in corrupt context. Yeshua spoke it in the purest context, which makes me know there's a reason why he was who he was. Gnosticism and Sumerian teachings are actually a lot closer together than what you might think. There are many fragments of Gnosticism that exist in the teachings that were taught to humans by the Sumerians. Very, very strong, very dogmatic, I don't really care what you think. This is what's going to happen. And you either choose to accept it, embrace it, and change who you are, or you're destroyed by it. Those really are our only two options. Now, there's some stuff that has come out of the Ethiopian Bible that has to do with Enoch that may argue even that point. But I think there's probably, as more text is interpreted, there will be a balancing of those two concepts. It won't do away with what Enoch said. What it will actually do, as I tell you many times I've said, the problem is you get twice the story from the Sumerians you get from the texts that are written after them. And so what Enoch said, I fully believe it is true and will be validated to be true. What it will also do is bring all of the other information that was not given to us through the authors of the book of Enoch. And so that's a really powerful concept, because it is going to very much come into play. And I am seeing some of the pieces, though I don't struggle with them. I think I've known that all my whole life. But the reality is that putting that into play and grabbing a hold of it now, it has been a verified truth. I say things all the time, and 6 months later find out that what I said was true. It happens. It really is a very powerful force that functions constantly. And so there's a reason for that. And so we left off in the Corpus Hermeticum. Hermes is talking to Tat. He calls his son, whether physical or spiritual is irrelevant. He had taken this son close to him, and he probably did not teach anyone except those people that he felt were close. That's why over and over and over again we're told, do not waste your time on people that do not have the goods. And Christianity came along, and this kind of ties with Enoch as well. So it actually ends up in the Bible as well. Enoch comes along and says that it doesn't do you any good anyways. So we left off with in section 4 on page 19, and God alone is good, and elsewhere nowhere. So think about this concept. There is much. I think that it's going to be quite surprising to people that the true function of praise and stuff comes from the inside, because the person inside is linked. And are there people that are not linked? More than not. The Sumerians said that they didn't believe there was but 7 out of 10,000. And that may very well be a right number. They've been right about everything else that they've written. Now I am finding some texts that I'm fixing to start buying. They're quite expensive, but actually whole tablet text of pieces of things that I've shown you. And what's really weird is they can't put what they didn't put in the videos, they can't put out because humans can't deal with it. So it doesn't get less, it actually gets infinitely more intensive. And so if you're not a very intent person, then it's probably not going to fare well with you. And so Hermes writes, "Good, O Asclepius, is in none else save in God alone." And some of you might go, well, then there's no good in any humans. Well, that's not true. Because there is, if you want to use the term, there is God, there is light source in every human. So the problem with that is not everybody is living inside of that light. And many will never live inside of that light. Even if they were told that it existed, they will still walk away from it. That's the saddest part to me. And so he says, "Good, O Asclepius, is in none else save in God alone. Nay, rather good is God himself eternally." Now, he told us last week that God is good and that all of the pain that exists in our world is because of humans, not because of God. When we read the Sumerian about the flood, the Sumerian flood was not what you were taught in Christianity. The Sumerian flood was a cycle of washing the earth clean. And we have those. It is believed, and I think they're probably correct, that we are at the very forefront of the next 3,600 year cycle that will once again wash the earth clean. I believe there may be more authenticity functioning now because authenticity is the essence of higher consciousness. People who are authentically think. They don't walk by the thing that they never see, even though they walk by it. They are authentic. They're real. And so he says, if it be so, good must be essence from every kind of motion and becoming free, though nothing is free from it. Possessed of stable energy around itself. So here's what's so funny. This text is thousands of years old, and yet the concept prior to Christianity was understood that we were energy. And here we find Trismegistus telling us that prior to there ever being a Jewish, but even if it was after the beginning of the Jewish sect, it still certainly by hundreds of years predates Christianity. And so if it be so, good must be essence from every kind of motion and becoming free, though nothing is free from it, possessed of stable energy around itself, never too little, never too much, and ever full supply. Though one, yet it is the source of all. And that's really an amazing concept. It just is absolutely amazing. It's always there. I see people constantly. Some things have been exposed by a human to them 1,000 times, and yet they still never see it, although it existed. Actually, if the truth were known, that's actually where most people will spend most of their life and die, in that realm, and never get out of it, never become conscious. And so that's the number that really is just quite overwhelming, that they would have that number so long ago. They also predicted the time of 8 billion people as well as the end of another world, which is exactly where we live. And so, for he stands in need, yet of source, it is source of all, for what supplieth all is good. When I moreover say supplieth altogether all, it is forever good. So the things that Source has supplied are good, and they're eternal, and they're always going to be, like energy and all of those things that are truly good. And so you might have a question in your mind, well, if Source supplieth all and everything Source supplies is good, then what about this other sector? He says, when I moreover say, supplieth altogether all, it is forever good. But this belongs to no one else except God alone. For he stands not in need of anything, so that desiring it, he should be bad. So stop and go back to your picture of Yahweh, who is actually, in reality, the Gnostics proved it, which is why the Christians had killed so many of them, because they knew that Yahweh was a concocted God. He was actually Yaldabaoth, the demiurge. There was much teaching about the demiurge that has been destroyed by the Catholic Church, because if you saw it, you would saw that the Catholic Church is an extension of the demiurgic circle, which includes the archons. They are real. They are functioning today, just as they always have been. Every spirit person on the internet that talks about the Akashic Record, it has zero understanding that they are simply laying in the bed of the archons, doing the will of the archons, telling you it's good for you to come back in, and feeding that so that you are ignorant and you just do it. When I first got into this, I thought, oh, well, that's a good thing. Maybe I need 25 more lives so that I can finally be good enough. And I hate to say it, but there's millions of people that'll die in that nonsense and never find the truth. There's many that'll hear me and still do it. So what's the big news? And he says, so that desiring it, he should be bad. Nor can a single thing of things that are be lost to him, on losing which he would have pained, for pain is part of bad. Okay, so Source never creates anything that's not good, and Source has never felt pain. He doesn't feel pain when you hurt and suffer with pain, because pain is bad, and there is no bad in him. Pain is typically an outworking of humans broken down more appropriately into humans that are doing something to you, or the things that you are doing to yourself. And I would say that process is actually, the way that I said it, is not in the proper hierarchy. The proper hierarchy is that you do to yourself is more prominent than is done to you by other people. That's why people walk around looking for some way to make themselves a victim of someone else, when in reality the only thing that they never will see is that they are most assuredly the victim of their self. So, he needs nothing. He feels no pain. Everything that Source makes is good. Energy is good. Protons are good. Neutrons are good. They can use those. Humans can turn those things into vehicles of death. But it had nothing to do with Source. It had to do with us. Nor is there aught superior to him that he should be subdued by it, nor any peer to him to do him wrong. So it's really quite an amazing concept, because in the Sumerian context, if you are not aware, then you are going to get sucked back in to reincarnation, which is where most will exist and continue the journey of the cycle. Others have 3 opportunities, according to the text, that seem to be most prevalent that have been exposed. There may be other texts that will add to that, but the concept is outside of so there's actually a split system, and it really doesn't matter about the other three if you don't make it out of, and you have to make it out of. God's not going to help you. Jesus isn't going to help you. Jesus may come and invite you into it. Of course, it's not Jesus, but you will believe it is. And for those who aren't ignorant, they will know, and they will also know that there is three separate places in which they may choose to go. One is directly to the light. The other is a place of quiet and silence. Total silence, actually. And then there is another choice that you get to make if you choose to, and you get to come back in like many have as light beings. You are not under the tie of the archonic system. That's why there are people who are living on this earth right now who the archons are not messing with. They are here doing sources work. Dolores Cannon talked about the indigo children coming in. There was a strong wave in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s of the indigo children. A lot of spirituality has corrupted that with star seeds, which I don't honestly find where, although I've listened and there's some really good things to come out of the Federation. You know, it sounds a lot more like Star Trek to me, some of the things that I hear, but if it be true, then so be it. So, there is aught superior to him, that he should be subdued by it, nor any peer to him to do him wrong, or so that he should fall in love on its account. So there's nothing he falls in love with. There's nothing that he makes those kind of connections with. There's nothing that can come into his presence. There's no bad that can enter into his realm. Now you might begin to understand why those who walk past the archonic light and go to the true light, which is not the lustrous, but the more lustrous, though less, if you can understand that. And they go there, why? Because that is the place of perfection. In him, we live and move and have our being. And so, there's just nothing that's more than source. Now, I've heard scholars that talk about Anu, the sky god, being the ultimate god, but that was not what the Anunnaki. Another reason for reading this is because then when I hear stupid people that lie, it's easy to pick up on their lie and go, they don't know what they're talking about. Anu was the sky Anunnaki god, but he is not source. Just as the demiurge is Yahweh, and he is not source. Exact same metaphor. And so, he should fall in love on its account, nor aught that gives no ear to him. What did that say? He is not moved by those who give no ear to him. It doesn't affect him in the least. When he speaks to you through the higher consciousness, the divine light, when he speaks to you and you ignore him and disrespect him, he feels no pain from it, friends. It just is, I'm sure in his perception, what he already knew, that you are headed to destruction. So, nor aught that gives no ear to him. I had somebody say to me one time, well, brother, you're most blessed because there's something in your heart that allows you to embrace hearing from him. You crave hearing from him. You take his words and they move you inside. He said, you are above all men blessed. And the mass majority of people, if they could recognize that it was God speaking to him, they would still not obey him. I don't say that there aren't people that are, because that would be just as ludicrous as any other thing that you can say. But the mass majority of people, even when Source speaks to them, they still will not obey him. He tells us how to behave, and yet we choose not to. And that probably plays out in every area of your life. It's in your personal life, it's in your work life, it's in your relationship life, it's everywhere. And so, whereat he should grow angry, so we don't make him mad, is what's really cool about what Hermes is saying here, is he's given us a perspective of what it is. What it is with Source. How do us down here on earth affect him? And people, I've heard him say, oh, well, I just couldn't serve a God who would let all of this pain go. And it's like, okay, well, sorry, but the reality of it is all of this pain that you're so tied up in is carnal. None of it's spiritual in the first place. What you guys may not understand, none of the picture of spirituality that you believe is reality existed before Christianity. None. People did not look at things in the manner you were taught to. Oh, well, God must have done this, and oh, well, God must have done this, and oh, well. And to be honest with you, friends, that didn't exist that much before Christianity. It is a program to give you emotions that are tied to God that do not exist. He has no emotions. You can't move him. If you listen to the greats, one of the most potent pieces of learning is learning how not recognize your emotions, but learning how to not. And I watch a lot of people that are soulless, and they act like they have control of their emotions, but the evil is inside of them. There are people who have evil inside of them, and they do evil things without being outward, and those are narcissists that are covert, okay? They do evil things, and they set lies up to make themselves look good, and they do things against you to try to make you be the bad guy. That's all covert sickness. It's inside of them. And then you have the extroverts, which do those things equally. They simply do them on the outside. I've actually sat and had conversation with covert narcissists who were not even aware that I knew they were a narcissist, because they themselves were not functionally aware that what their life is and what they do and how they act towards people is narcissism. And yet it goes on all the time. If you are a covert, you are a narcissist. If you are too chicken shit to look a man in the face and say something, you are a narcissist. You are only concerned about yourself, not about other people. So, all of those things, though, are somehow supposed to be tied to God. And most of that comes out of Christianity in our society. Might have been a different, religious experience prior to Christianity, but Christianity has had 2,000 years to indoctrinate folks. That's deep. And they do it very well. They make you guilty of everything that you never had any guilt for, and they refuse to call you guiltless for things that you were never guilty of. So, he stands not in the need of anything, so that desiring it, he should be bad. So he has no desire, nor can a single thing of things that are be lost to him. So he hasn't lost anything. He's not losing. If you choose to walk away from him, he hasn't lost anything. There's no connection in that manner. There's only a connection at the energy level. Okay? And I suspect that when people die, the energy, the true you that you never got to know, you never got to experience, you never got to feel, you never got to rule your life, that energy still returns to him because that energy is pure. I tell you that all the time. When you walk down the street and your mind thinks about stealing something, your higher self is telling you, do not do that. You are cursing yourself. And most people reach their hand out and they pick it up and they stick it in their pocket and they never have a conscience about it. That had nothing to do with your higher self. It can't be corrupted. It can't be motivated. It can't be moved emotionally. It simply ceases to speak. That's all. You haven't lost anything. You haven't gained anything. You've simply made a decision between listening to Source and basically telling Source to piss off. I don't need you. And you do it, many people do it thousands of times a day. So it's really important for you, for your life. I mean, it's known in the psychological world that most people are on a path to destroy themselves. And that's why the whole thing of reincarnation works, because you spent your whole life trying to destroy yourself only for an archonic being to tell you that you screwed your life up again, and you really don't have any grounds to stand on under that concept because you did. And unfortunately, there's another piece that goes with this. You're just BSing yourself if you say that you don't know. I've had people try to convince, but I never knew. And it's like, yeah, you did. You knew every second. You knew every lie. You knew everything you did. You never didn't know. You always knew. You simply made a decision that fit your flesh because that is your God, not your spirit. And so all of the things that we have so engrafted that we can say sorry and it somehow supposedly changes things. There are times when people truly make accidents, but not all situations that people try to convince you is truly an accident is an accident. In fact, I would say probably the greater part, 70%, is actually intentional. They have a thought in their mind and they want to cause pain. They want to cause all the things that don't affect Source. And so why is it then so important that we connect with Source and come into alignment and get in coherence? Because when we get in that place, he is then conscious of us. Do you understand that? Not of us physically, conscious of the light that is in us. Our light has begun to become conscious. It's like a strobing light. This one was strobing and this one was very dim. And as those two sync, they then sync up and you come in and you begin to resonate authentically just at the level that Source also is resonating. And that's why they're using all these buzzwords with not a lot of understanding about what they even mean. And so it's all very, very, very important. And Source is real, and it's never going to change. Whether you choose to believe it or don't is irrelevant to anybody except for you. But that's not the way that we were taught. And so there's nothing superior to him, nothing that he should be subdued by it, nor any peer to him to do him wrong, or so that he should fall in love on its account, nor anything that gives no ear to him. Whereat he should grow angry, nor wiser ought for him to envy. It just doesn't exist. All of those are all principles that you use every day to manipulate yourself and people in your life. Every one of those that list just is, Source has none of them. It's you that has them. And they are manipulation factors. So, now as all of these are non-existent in his being, what is there left but God alone? There isn't anything. When you take all of those carnal things, that's why we see, where do we see it? I'm thinking in the Bible, It's in the New Testament. We hear that those that are carnal minded are death. Why? Because of what I just read to you. You are controlled by your mind in everything physical, and you have no connection with your higher self, because your higher self would always guide you to do what's right, even if it hurts you. You won't walk by something and leave it lay there because the right thing is to fix it. You will fix it because the higher self told you and you listened. And that multiplies like the ocean tide through every area of your life. If you do one, you do it in the job, you do it in relationship, you do it with yourself. And if you do the other, you also do that. That's what Enoch is talking about when he says people are what they are. It was a choice. You just chose the worst, not the best. And so, now, as all of these are non-existent in his being, what is there left but God alone? For just as naught of bad is to be found in such transcendent being, so too is no one of the rest will good be found. Wow. You think about all the times that children are told that they're good when they actually did something and you're trying to be kind or something to them. Whether you know it or not, friends, we have been brainwashed into lying more than we have ever. Although we've been told that lying will send you to hell, we then teach our children to lie. By our behavior, we call it, being nice, and we call it not being too hard. And we're looking at a world right now that is so weak and frail that 90% of the people that are alive today cannot handle the truth without falling to pieces. So you didn't love them, you actually hated them. I've been preaching this for 35 years, in Christianity and out. It's a human thing. Okay? So, bad is not to be found in such transcendent beings. That's why there are good people, and that's why there are bad people. In bad people, those things exist. They're very envious, they're very egotistical, they're very self-centered, they don't care about nobody else, but they also can't keep friends, they can't keep family members, they can't keep spouses, they can't keep anything because nobody is as important as them. And they walk a lonely life and then can't figure out why. Okay? We do that on 1,000 different levels if we don't intentionally stop it. But you have to want to stop to do that. And most people don't want to stop. That's exactly what Enoch was trying to get across. Someone who wants to be good will find a way to be good no matter how bad it is. No matter how much they have to suffer. Good is important to them. People that good is not important to will never figure out how to be good because they can't even figure out what good is. And they justify it in their self. Oh, well, I'm good. It doesn't matter that I did a bad thing. I'm good. And Christianity is also part of that programming. Why? Because it's an archonic system that wants you to believe that nonsense. And so I've answered all the world's problems, but whether or not it will help anybody is irrelevant. So, nothing that is bad is found in transcendent beings of light. The more that people do awaken and become conscious, the better they will be. I've been telling y'all that in everything that I see and read. I sometimes sit back and marvel at Source at the great love of wisdom and kindness he's given to me, because I see things and then he manifests them in front of me to prove that what I said was true. There is the awakening, but it's going to be a very small quantity of people who are capable of doing that. And it's not that they couldn't, it's just that people won't. They're too worried about their self. So I would rather source take care of me than anybody. For things subject to birth abound in passions. For in them are all of the other things, both in little and in great, both in each severally, and in this living one that's greater than them all and the mightiest of them. For things subject to birth abound in passions, birth in itself being passible, but where there's passion, nowhere is there good. Do you see how we view that? Our society thrives on telling people, let your passion overrule you. Let it control you. But the true reality you don't know is that anything that is tied to your passions in that concept is what is going to destroy you. There can't be good in passion. First off, it takes away your consciousness. It makes you throw your mind in the trash can so you can do it. Why do people do bad things? They do bad things because they are unconnected to consciousness. They are unconscious people. And our world is full of them. And so, for in them are all of these other things, both in little and in great, both in each and severally, and in this living one that's greater than them all and the mightiest of them. For things subject to birth abound in passions. Birth is itself being, and I think that was supposed to be passion, but it's passable, and it actually has a place where that actually can tune in and still be in scope. But where there's passion, nowhere is there good, and where is good, nowhere a single passion. God, I watch it control people all the time. I fight with it controlling all the time. It's never going to go away, and it's not that anybody is better than someone else. It's simply that someone is conscious enough to recognize it, and then they begin the battle journey to fight it. It's not that they did nothing, even if it looks easy to you that this person seemingly overcomes those things. It's simply that they are fighting the war that you won't waste your time to fight. And they will win, and you will lose, and everybody will go home happy. Or whatever they go home to be. For where is day, nowhere is night. And where is night, day is nowhere. You cannot have passion and right. Passion always rules right, and if right is ruling, passion will not come near. As the Bible says, the gates of hell will not prevail against you. So, wherefore, in Genesis, the good can never be, but only be in the ingenerate. And I'm not sure that isn't in the generate. Of course, Genesis is the beginning, simply as the meaning of that. And so, but seeing that the sharing in all things hath been bestowed on matter, so doth it share in good. And that leads into the concept. Everything is potential to you. The worst person on the face of this earth, Charles Manson, had an opportunity to stop all of those people that were following him and sit them down and explain to them that we must let right rule our lives. And if he had chosen that path, that timeline, none of what he did would have ever happened. It didn't happen because God wanted him to go kill those people. It didn't happen because of anything. Everything came out of human passion. And it's not just sexual passion, folks. Although that inevitably will end up playing in with it. I know lots of people who are passionate about their drugs. Okay? Can't function without it and won't. But there is an effect that comes with that. For where is day, nowhere is night. So simple, and yet all of us can understand that. But I suspect this has been affecting all of our lives for the whole time. Some people naturally have some of those things, knowledge in them. Others maybe not so much. And so that insofar as it doth make all things, as far as making goes, it's good. But in all other things, it is not good. For it's both passable and subject unto motion, and the maker of things passable. Whereas in man, by greater or lesser of bad, is good determined. So in humans, by greater or lesser of bad, is good determined. Some of you might go, well, what are you saying? No. The problem with that is it has nothing to do with consciousness. It has nothing to do with higher self. It has to do with you being in who controls you. Okay? Consciousness is good. It is source. It can't be anything but good. When you have envy, it's not because of consciousness. When you have passion, it's not because of consciousness. And what determines who you are is which one of those you allow to rule you. It's that simple. And it's never going to change. We can read the Sumerians and they'll tell us the same thing. And we can read the Akkadians and they will tell us the same thing. And we can read the Babylonians that the Christian Bible rails against, and yet they possess more wisdom of everything than the Jews ever could function in. So, whereas in man, by greater or less of bad, is good determined. For what is not too bad down here is good, and good down here. Okay, so you meet someone and you see things. It's part of the whole purpose that people look at people. We are, just so that you maybe grab a revelation part, and I don't say that everyone has it or is seeking it or has knowledge of it, although I think there's probably anyone that thinks has at least had some knowledge of it. But the purpose of watching people's behavior, because what is inside is what they are outside. If someone is a liar inside, they lie on the outside. If someone is a thief inside, they steal on the outside. And if you haven't learned that through your very core, then I'm sad you really haven't gained anything. The purpose of doing that so we can then judge who we allow to come close to us. Because if we let bad people come close to us, they bring bad into our sphere. They cause turmoil in your life. They bring deception, manipulation, and it just goes on. And you go, God, I can't stand to be around this person. And it might have been someone who at one time was your best friend. It happens. It's happening all over the world. These stories are coming out. People that are waking up, and those who aren't have no idea who they even are. But those people now see it. And it's like, sorry, bro, it ain't like it used to be. Are you hearing me? Maybe some of you have been experiencing some of that. I know I've talked to several people who go, my God, I can't believe you just said that. I've been experiencing that. Well, yeah, because it's the truth. I'd like to be able to tell you that everything's okay and that nothing bad is ever going to happen and make you feel good and pat you on your little head and take your little $20 at the door. But I got to tell you, folks, there's some real things coming for humanity that you guys may or may not have a mind about. And there's lots of deceivers out there telling you and guaranteeing to you that that's never going to happen. Hide and watch, catfish, as the old saying goes. So, but seeing that all things hath been bestowed on matter, so doth it share in good. In this way is the cosmos good, that in so far as it doth make all things, as far as making goes, it's good. But in all other things, it is not good. For it's both passible and subject unto motion. And then, whereas in man, by greater or less of bad is good determined. So when you judge someone, and the Christianity wanted you to not judge, and the truth of the matter is that you should judge more. But what Yeshua taught us, which isn't what the rest of the Bible teaches, what Yeshua taught us is that you better learn to discern and to judge righteously. There is nothing in the world that hinders you from judging righteously in reason and concept and connection with source, and seeing that as the bad that it is and recognizing it. And many of you have been led astray by many false people in your life because you believed that BS that they told you in Sunday school. And so it cannot therefore be that good down here should be quite clean of bad. For down here, good is fouled with bad, and being fouled, it stays no longer good. And staying not, it changes into bad. That's why it often, if you notice how there are politicians who start out and they are extremely honorable, they want to serve the people, they want to do bless, and then by the time they retire 30 years later, they're multimillionaires because they've been stealing from the very people that supported them. When they started out, they were good. But that's not necessarily a predicted fate that you have to fall under. That is what will happen if you are not conscious. You inevitably will go from bad to worse. Wherever bad starts, you will go worse. You won't go better. But it's because of you, because of who you are, your essence, if you would. And so, in God alone is therefore good. Or rather, good is God himself. Think about this, a beautiful, amazing concept. And God alone is therefore good. And rather, good is God himself. So when a person does good from a pure heart, from an authentic heart, if you look at someone and go, hey, if I give them $20, I might get something out of them, then that's not good, folks. Sorry, no matter what you believe. I told somebody one time, they asked me a question about tithing and all of that stuff being done away, and I said, well, I've been very vocal with anybody who's listened. If you don't give what you give to me in love, I don't want it in the first place. You say, well, have you lost your mind? And I say, no. I trust that Source will open a door that will bring provision when the provision that is coming now ceases. Okay? That's how it works. He is my source. And I used to have to fix this at the church constantly. I've had people on their deathbed who told me that they were sure they were going to heaven because, Brother Rob, I always paid my tithes. And it was all I could do to laugh. Not because they were dying, although I understand now that that really didn't mean anything anyways, but laugh that they were so brainwashed into that sickness that they thought somehow their little bitty 2 cents they throw to people, thinking they've done something, is somehow going to impress the creator of everything. It's a joke. It's a brain delusion. So they imposed it because they could impose it on you, okay? It never was supposed to be imposed. There's never one meeting in the Bible or anywhere I've read of Yeshua's journeys in the earth where he ever took an offering. People who were smart enough and conscious enough to recognize giving from a heart means a lot and giving means nothing. That's why the Bible tells us, you have gotten your reward. It just is. And you won't ever hear a Christian preacher say that. But I'm going to tell you the truth whether you like it or don't. So I'm going to continue to trust Source. And he seems to be okay with continuing to supply for me. And when one ceases, another will begin. There was a statement made to me about a fish when it's out of the place that it is death. While I think that is very true, I wanted to add a little piece to that of understanding of wisdom that goes with that. Death is never death, folks. Okay? I wasn't being sacrosanct when I said that I looked at her on the deathbed and I almost wanted to laugh. I didn't want to laugh at her. I wanted to laugh at the principle she had been programmed to. But we have been brainwashed to believe that death is the end. Death is simply the end of whatever it is that you've been in and the beginning of something else. And so it's funny that you can go along for years and things stay, and then you begin to track. You begin to watch the people, and now what used to be done from a happy heart all of a sudden is a chore, and oh, it's such a burden. And when all of those things begin to happen, the spirit is dying. There is a new beginning coming, and I promise you, Source is always on time. So I'm very thankful today. I don't know about how you are, that Source is good. I'm thankful today that there is nothing that I or any human can do against me that will make Source turn his face away from me. There is nothing, neither height, nor depth, nor width, nor breadth, that can turn him away from me. Nothing. Doesn't mean you don't go through hard times. Doesn't mean you don't experience things. But I assure you, the Lord of the Spirits is always there to remind you that you are taken care of. And so it doesn't always come like we like it to. It doesn't always look like we like it to. It doesn't always happen how we think it will. But I assure you of one thing I have found to be true in the last 30 years. It always comes. However, he chooses it to. And so we have to embrace those things. We have to be conscious and connected with the Spirit in alignment so that when he says there is change coming, this is going to happen, and you watch it begin to happen, then you don't have to be surprised about it. When he says this is coming, this is what I'm watching over here, you know that before it happens, not after. And that is actually exactly how we're supposed to live our lives. And it's amazing when you do, because everything is always going to change. Nothing is ever going to stay the same. Rush said that in a song. Funny that these rock and roll singers are more in tune with the spirit realm than any Christians I know. The more that things change, the more they stay the same. The path doesn't deviate. How he brings you along that path always is consistent. How he does that is where change involves in your life. So I hope you guys will understand he's certainly worthy of trust. I can't make you see that. I can't make you feel that. Maybe you have anxiety because you know things aren't going well for you, or you're in a mess inside, and of course always, I'm sorrowful when we have to go through those things, but I have to go through them just like you do. And I have to choose to either go through them or let them consume me. And I choose to trust him. He chooses to talk to me and confirm and bless me and strengthen me. And I suspect that that's really his plan with everyone, but maybe not everyone is in the same place. And so as an evangelist that used to come in Austin 35 or 40 years ago used to say all the time, if you don't do the same thing I'm doing, brother, you ain't going to get the same blessing I'm getting. He was absolutely correct. It is about us. It is about what we do. It is about what we think. It is about what we say inside of ourselves. Those are what either destroy or protect us. And so I hope you guys will say the right things to protect yourself and recognize that that is real and that there is magic and power and force in that connection with Source, because I promise you it's greater than we have any idea of. Shalom to each and every one of you, and namaste. We see you on Saturday, Source willing. Shalom.